Good morning everyone. Welcome at Nordic Blockchain Conference 2026. Another great edition back here at the epicenter in the center of Stockholm. Indeed, an epic epicenter we can say as well. We're about to start with the first panel of the day. But first, quickly, a couple of things. In the next 2 days, we will speak about emerging tech, right? Blockchain, Bitcoin, AI, regulation and finance, digital finance, NFTs, compliance. We'll speak about digital identities very, very shortly as well. And something needs to be said about the organizers. Nordic Blockchain Association, as you all know, is the wonderful organization that helps enable Nordic Blockchain Conference, together, of course, with its fantastic sponsors and partners and community partners and whatnot. So just a couple of words about that, right? Apart from the main event that is taking place here at stage 2 and also downstairs at stage 1. There's also wonderful side events planned over the next couple of days. For instance, tonight, tomorrow there's a closing party. Some are being hosted by wonderful sponsors and partners of the event. So make sure to check the website or check the app as well to make sure that you are all up to date in terms of the agenda and side events. Later today, here at stage 2, also pretty fantastic and exciting, is that we have a pitch competition. So later this afternoon, make sure to be here and listen to fantastic pitches, and then jury members who are going to decide who fundamentally wins the competition later today. Now, very, very quickly, my name is Alex. I'm the founder and CEO of Trilled Labs. Please go to the next slide if that's possible. All right, yes, so I'm the founder of Trilled Labs. We provide the networking app, for instance. We're a Dutch startup with a global team. And if you have any questions about the app, right, feel free to shoot me a message either on the app or just here in person. You can find an updated agenda there, a list of the side events, and you can just network with attendees during or just after the event in case you missed someone. I think that roughly a third of all total attendees is on the app, and you can also use the app elsewhere, swiping to connect with folks globally that live up to your needs and wants. Now, enough about that. That is not that important. I do want to say a couple of words about the sponsors. Obviously, the sponsors are very, very important to make the conference happen. So we have a long list of fantastic sponsors. If you could go back 1 second to the prior slide, we would very much like to thank very important sponsors such as Bybit, the BSV Association, DFNS, TRM Labs, XBTO, Ledger, eToro, Bird & Bird, Define, CoinMotion, Aridze, Fireblocks, Chainalysis, BTCX, Bitwise, Six Monks, Bitfavo, Data Expert, Signum, Anubis, and much others that I will mention later on, otherwise we run too late. Now, importantly, we're going to start with the first panel of the day. We will speak about digital identities. Later on, we will move to MiCA, compliance and crypto crime, blockchain and food systems, crypto index products, institutional grade protocols, innovation, right here in the region and beyond, and much, much more. And again, don't forget to check out the after events, not unimportantly. Now, enough from my side. You already see the wonderful people here in the room gathered. So we're going to speak about the emergence of digital identities and what's really ahead of us. So first of all, the moderator of this panel is Janne Jutila. Please put your hands together for Janne from Signicat. He is, I'm going to provide really brief introduction for everyone so that we move faster with the panel. So Janne is currently the head of business alliances and partners and the co-lead of payments and wallets at Signicat, where you lead, I believe, the company's growth efforts. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Signicat is one of Europe's leading providers of digital identity solutions already for a long time now, and they have over 500 members actually who are creating all sorts of beautiful solutions. Now, we also have Dr. Agata Slater. Please be very, very welcome on stage from Hashgraph, a senior technology and go-to-market leader working at the intersection of decentralization, digital innovation, and a lot more. You're also, I believe, the co-founder of Innovators of Tomorrow, which is an educational and mentoring program for school students, and that really stood out when I was doing the research. Alongside yourselves, and I'm sure we're going to hear about Hashgraph shortly, is Martin Coxall. Please be welcome on stage from Indeed VS Association, one of the wonderful sponsors of the event. Thank you for being here. You're Director of Growth and Strategic Partnerships already for a long time, and you have 15 years of experience in this space. I had prepared a lot more information, but we're running a little bit late, so I keep this brief. And then, of course, we also have Raido Saar. Please be welcome on stage, founder and CEO of ComplyOnce. You're also the president, Raido, of, and you should know this, the Estonian Web3 Chamber already for 6 years now. And last but not least, we also have Karola, Xenia, Kassai of KassaiLaw. Please be very, very welcome. Now, what you should know about the firm is that KassaiLaw is a borderless law firm, very interesting, and it's been launched in 2012 as the EU's first virtual law firm. So that's very interesting. You do lots of other things. You're also a lecturer, if I'm not mistaken, at university. So enough from my side. Please be very welcome. Looking forward to the panel, and great to have started Nordic Blockchain Conference 2026, day one. Be welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. We're talking emerging digital identities and what is going to happen in the next 5 years. My name is Janne, Jutila, and like mentioned, I'm from Signicat. Signicat is the identity leader in Europe, around 600 people in 18 countries in Europe. We help banks, fintechs, increasingly also other types of companies, including sort of crypto and blockchain companies, to onboard customers, to authenticate, sign digitally, and so on. Emerging digital identity is a bit of an understatement, I would argue. We have had bank IDs in Sweden, Norway, Finland since 1990s. I joined the identity industry back in 2009 when I was launching the Finnish mobile ID cooperation between the telcos in Finland to compete against the bank IDs in Finland. I've been traveling around the world with digital identity for several years in 5 continents, helping governments, banks, telcos launch identity schemes. In Europe, today we have around 40 strong reusable identity schemes with 100 million plus users already. And in the next few years, we're expecting all the European member states, EU member states, to launch a digital identity wallet, EU identity wallet, Eide wallet, to their citizens. So the market is going through extremely rapid change. And not only because of that, but because of other types of regulation, eIDAS, AMLR, and others. There has been a very long sort of thread of discussion, how is identity and blockchain together? And what do they do to each other? And I think one of the underlying challenges has always been this sort of notion of decentralized, centralized. And I think we will come back to that. But my sort of opening argument would be that identity is a different beast of a credential, a different type of an attribute than any other attribute. Identity is the only credential that you can't easily reinstate. It has to be recoverable. It has to be, it's persistent, it's you. All the other things can be reissued, not identity. But let's go into identity and blockchain. How do they work together in both financial and non-financial use cases? Who wants to start? Karola, would you start?
First, yes, thanks. I would like to zoom out first for a second because it's very, very important to understand why digital identities are so important. So it's much more than talking about eIDAS 2.0 and so on. What we are seeing here is actually the internet transitioning from anonymous participation into verified participation. And that's a very, very, very important shift. So digital identity is basically becoming the form of creating trust digitally, because the world realized that trust has economic value, because what's happening, like previously the internet was mostly for information sharing, and now we basically put our economy onto the internet. And it's very funny, which I also experienced like in 2012 when we were basically the absolutely first virtual law firm. Nobody understood the concept in the EU. Wherever we went, or like tech lawyers, how? And I didn't understand what they don't understand. Like, guys, have you heard about the internet? I just put the industry on the internet. That's all what happened. The technology was there. So this is why the digital identities are extremely important, because the internet is becoming a social and infrastructure layer of our economy. So,
Martin, maybe you want to continue.
Sure, thanks.
Agata.
Yeah, I'll double down on what you just said. Identity is, I think, growing in use cases. I'm sure some of the other panelists will talk a lot about the identity of people, individuals, which is obviously where the concept started. But in this transition from Web 2 to Web 3, as it's often called, I think one of the major use cases are actually the identity of products or machines. There's a number of other use cases, outside the say KYC or AML, where obviously people are very familiar with the idea of being able to verify identity. But I think in the future we'll need to verify the identity of AI agents, of products in a supply chain, of prescriptions in the healthcare sector. There's a plethora of bigger, I think, use cases which are kind of the submerged part of the iceberg, the ones where we cannot see. And in fact, I'll take a minute here and plug the fact that my colleague Ásgeir will be talking about one of the bigger use cases in agri-tech on this stage in about half an hour, so stick around for that if you want more detail. But yes, back to the point, I think the bigger notion here is that identity, from a blockchain perspective, because we are a foundation or an association, we obviously are mostly preoccupied with the governance and infrastructure of our chain. And identity, if I just had to say one thing that you could take away today, we see it as a bridge. It's a bridge between the infrastructure, which is, for example, the chain which BSV, which we maintain, and the real world use case, like the identity of products or, say, people when dealing with things like KYC.
Thanks. Go ahead, Agata.
Hi, so just taking the bigger picture. First of all, this is a very interesting moment for identity, mostly because we're seeing the adoption of identities in non-humans, if I put it like that. And there is a big growth in national identity, so that ecosystem is growing. Technology is maturing, it's developing, infrastructure is in place, so I wouldn't say we have a tech problem. The problem is still with adoption of digital identities and with issues such as governance. And when we talk about adoption, I think of it as business, wrapping it in business use cases. So no one wakes up and says, I want to implement digital identity, right? They will say, I want, well, maybe you, yes, for different reasons. But you would say, I want my customers to have a seamless onboarding experience, or I want my customers to pick up phone calls from unknown numbers. So by design, these digital identity use cases need to have a problem to solve, a business problem to solve. And they are not the solution to the entire problem, right? So I see digital identities as business enablers, but not as business cases. And let me give you an example of a project that I was a part of where we worked with digital identities to solve a particular business problem. So at Hedera, we have a collaboration with Deutsche Telekom, and together we're working on a use case that aims at increasing pickup rates for phone calls, for giving call recipients an option to verify the identity of who is calling them, and vice versa. So we are equipping the phone infrastructure with a verifiable credential so that the person who is receiving the call can verify without a question who is calling, going beyond just number verification. And on top of that, we're also adding the capability of peer-to-peer verification, bypassing the network operator entirely. So we're solving a specific problem of pickup rates, because 80% of call recipients still don't pick up phone calls from the numbers they don't know. And also we're tackling fraud, right? So impersonalization and call spoofing. So these are specific business problems that we're solving. And why are we using decentralized digital identities? Well, if Deutsche Telekom wanted to just use a proprietary infrastructure and deliver it as a service, fine, you can do it in a centralized way. But we're talking about scenarios where these calls will go across different roaming setups, cross-border, in collaboration with different telecoms, ultimately. Deutsche Telekom also wants to use this solution to offer it as a service to banks, to utilities, moments where, you want to have that verifiable capability where the call is being set up. So this is where blockchain becomes that critical trust infrastructure, and also an only solution that can work seamlessly in a cross-border level. Now, I see, and I'm going to be wrapping up shortly, but I think also financial industry is a space where identity is growing really fast. So, of course, reusable KYCs is like a primary use case, but I think also having that on-chain compliance in a exchange of digital asset is a fast-growing use case. So to be able to verify whether someone is entitled or authorized to place a transaction. So that capability, that verification needs to happen in a near real time, at transaction level. So you need infrastructure that will enable that. So again, here I see blockchain as that providing that trust infrastructure, that speed, that cross-border capability. Now, having said that, blockchain is not infrastructure to solve all these problems, right? There are still challenges of business nature. So who is actually authorized to issue a credential? It's a business problem. There is a regulatory problem. So what would that credential include, right? What are we actually verifying? When would revocation happen of such a credential? This is a governance and regulatory problem. There is an infrastructure problem. So that revocation needs to happen in an instant, right? At the moment of transaction. So you need a really fast technical infrastructure to make that happen. And finally, there is the operational challenge and we mentioned, for private key management. So who will be responsible for that? And it raises a whole, can of worms as well.
Let's take that discussion forward. But Raido, what do you think? What are the most interesting blockchain identity-related use cases?
Okay, let's go a little bit back, like 7,000 years, to old Sumerian, Mesopotamian businessman needed to, identity was necessary for two reasons. To have good things delivered to me, and if I fail, my responsibility is delivered to me. They used cylinders, engraved cylinders, what they were rolling over the wet clay, and it was the stamp that says that I did it, or this belongs to me. This is identity use case. And the same comes with internet and with online services. I want my assets to be protected so that I only can control them. The other part is that if I enter to some relationship on online environment and I scam someone, then the responsibility must be delivered to the one who scammed others. And of course, signing contracts. In Signicat, you know it very well that this is the biggest functionality and this is the great job you are doing so that people can use something more than just email. Okay, in my, let's say the funniest case, everybody are used to basically, just till recently, that you get the contract, you print it out, you sign it, you scan it, and you send it back by email.
We call it scribble signing.
Scribbling, the value is zero, because I have learned criminal forensics, and one thing that was told me in the first lesson, that signature, if it's on the copy, if it's already copied, you can't verify that this is 100% the owner of this signature. And now you are scanning it, and you are sending it by email. You know that today I can create any signature on any contract with AI in minutes and send it. So basically, we have lost this ability to sign contracts remotely, but this is how we do business. In Bermuda, for example, which is the fifth capital of the world, businessmen used to fly once a year to the lawyer's office in Bermuda to sign contracts. Now you cannot do it anymore because flying is expensive and you want to do things fast. So you have to do it remotely. And that's why companies like Signicat or my company, we are providing the solution that you can give the digital signature which is tied to your legal identity. In blockchain, it's very easy to prove that this person is the same person who was here yesterday, who logged in last year. We can prove this. But who is this person? We don't know. Self-sovereign identities are providing solutions, almost, But the most stupid thing I've seen is that you are scanning your passport, creating NFT, and say that this is your digital identity. This is not, absolutely. Because this shows that someone had your passport and had ability to scan it. It's not good enough. What many companies are doing today, they are scanning NFC chip from the passport, matching your face with the passport picture, and then create identity. It used to be pretty good. Most IDV companies, identity verification companies, are doing that. But the problem is that AI is faster, and AI is developing faster, so that what is good today might not be good tomorrow. So coming back, identity and blockchain, they can work together. I think, and I don't think that, but in financial world, is it either digital assets or fiat world, we need credible digital identities because money and finances come with responsibility. And that means that we have to know who is behind something. With AML laws, which are, of course, completely useless, as you know, but we have to obey. That means that we not only have to know who is initiator of the transaction, but also who is recipient. So that means that we have to have interoperable digital identities so that we can spread our wings in digital realms, and this is the only way. At the moment, we don't have any such digital identities. What you are doing in Signicat, you are creating a platform that different digital identities can meet each other and can be interoperable. But actually, you know it very well that this is not a good solution, but this is better than nothing.
Exactly. I fully agree. We are a sign of a problem that identities are not interoperable easily. And of course, there would be great promise saying that, hey, let's have all our sort of attributes in the blockchain available and the identity as a key to access those and transfer those. And I think that's something very close to what is happening in Europe in the next 5 years. We have the EU member states launching the Eide wallets, the EU digital identity wallets. All member states should launch them to citizens by the end of this year. Most countries will be a little bit delayed, but it will be a major shift in any case. How do you think that will influence the blockchain industry when there is a commonly available strong digital identity wallet to transact in blockchain goods?
May I say that actually none of member states will deliver an identity wallet for the 26th of December, 24th of December this year. I was in conference in Tallinn last week where those people who are developing those digital identity wallets and they are trying to comply with Eide's 2 requirements, they were discussing whole day how they are not able to deliver zero knowledge proofs and reusable credentials, how they can deliver them. And conclusion is that for this year, actually there is no tenders yet even ready in any of member states.
There are several, just to challenge you a bit, there's 8 existing schemes that will comply with the Eide wallet standards by the end of this year in the region of 70 million users in Europe.
Okay, let's discuss it later, because there, in the conference, nobody said that they have even a tender for creating it.
Estonia published a tender 3 days ago.
Yes, Estonia has digital identity and identity wallets, we can call it wallets, since 2001. So yes, we are in the safe side. But this is different because it doesn't deliver zero knowledge proof. Yeah. So
that I agree, they will be much delayed.
But if we would have some kind of identity wallet that recognizes wallet of another country, it would be perfect, of course, because that means that I can sign contract with you, not trusting you, but believing the proof that this identity wallet gives me. This is the ideal world. And of course, you can then, if you have identity wallet, you can start using it with self-sovereign identity on blockchain, right? Because then there is a legal identity, and behind that, I don't tell you who I am, but I tell that I am.
And I could access my blockchain goodies.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you. Another big picture perspective here, which is very important, that what we are seeing now with digital identity, that it actually has a geopolitical effect and importance, because what's happening now is that there are state infrastructures trying to compete with each other, private infrastructures and blockchain, so decentralized infrastructures. That's why we are talking about blockchain and digital identity. And when it comes to, I wanted to say it in the previous question, but now I'm saying it now, that when it comes to the blockchain solutions, indeed, as you mentioned, it's not a solution to all kind of challenges, let it be liability and so on, but we can use it very, very well as to like who the person is, what kind of facts are true to the person, does the person control the wallet, for example, or what kind of authorization the person gave to, let it say, like AI bot to do agent in commerce and so on. So there are several layers here. And when it comes to the future, as to the next question of yours, which you just asked, was mostly it's expected to become a hybrid digital identity structure globally, actually. So all the little different actors most probably will have a place somewhere, which also expected to lead that the internet is becoming layered, depending on what type of services we want to use on the internet and what type of digital identity solutions those industries are going to use.
And just to chip in here a bit, I agree with Agata that, and with Karola, that if you look today's identity scene, you don't really see successful government-issued identity schemes at all. All the successful schemes are issued by private players like banks or smart IDs or ITSMEs or others, not government schemes. So it's quite interesting to see how will they fail on the Eide wallets. Go ahead, Martin.
Just quick. I'd like to go back to what Raido said a few minutes ago about how, since 7,000 years ago, we've been essentially dealing with ledgers since the early days in Mesopotamia. The first time somebody wrote something on a silex, or they essentially created a ledger, and that's what blockchain is. It's a ledger, and only the data is now immutable and traceable, and that's what it is. We got to treat blockchain as the
common memory.
Yes, the provenance, really, the provenance layer. So there are considerations like zero knowledge proofs and all these considerations around anonymity and security, but it does essentially trace the provenance. And back to what you were saying about the ADAS and upcoming regulations and all essentially the frameworks which are already in place. I think what they've done is over the past few weeks, as they steadily started to be implemented, is they're showing us that blockchain is essentially the solution for implementing ADAS on the long term, because it may not be written as such in the regulation, but the requirements around immutability and being able to, audit the data show us that essentially blockchain will be the backbone upon which digital identities will be created and managed in the future. I think that's where we're going. So, back to the title of this panel, the emergence of new digital identities. I think blockchain is pretty much the one and only way forward. Obviously, my point of view is slightly biased because of what our organization does.
Which is fine.
Just a comment on the Eide side. So I'm quite optimistic about it. I think it's unprecedented and fantastic that 27 countries have at least a minimal foundation for interoperability and collaboration and credential exchange. It's a great opportunity, right? Having said that, of course, there are challenges, and I see at least 3 challenges. One challenge is, again, the adoption, right? So what that we have state-issued identities and credentials if there's nowhere to use them. So private sector needs to jump on board, and those use cases need to emerge very, very quickly for this to scale. Second problem is, again, cross-border interoperability. So it's great that we're building a framework for the EU, but many use cases, commerce, or even public sector use cases go cross-border, and that it's a stop, right, for EU DI. It doesn't go further than the EU. So that's the second challenge. And the third challenge that I think will we've mentioned, and that will become an issue, is that there is no mention at all about agentic identity in that regulation, and that will become a big problem because it's fast approaching, and as Karola said, us authorizing agents to do something on our behalf, how do we go about that? Will become problematic. And there is the question of how existing identity infrastructures respond to eIDAS and EUDI. So, as you said, banks, for example, have been investing a lot in building their own infrastructures, right? A lot of that infrastructure is proprietary. So will they be holding on to that, or will they try to adopt the upcoming standard? And I think there is an opportunity here, actually, for a new business model to emerge. Not so much in the pipes business, so building the pipes of the infrastructure, but to become the trusted credential issuer, so this trusted provider. So we'll see how that sort of business model is going to change as well.
Sure. Let's shift gears a bit for the last few minutes and discuss, I think, an extremely interesting topic, partially sort of arising from the agentic commerce topic, but AI is feeding fraud all over the place. And payments fraud is increasingly, it's identity fraud. It's identity-related fraud in payments. And where I do see a great promise of blockchain-based solutions is managing this fraud issue. Having some of the attributes, the credentials in blockchain used through a strong, verifiable, or reusable digital identity. How do you see the sort of interplay between blockchain and identity being able to contain the rise in AI-driven fraud?
Yeah, this is a tricky question. Logical would be that yes, blockchain as very auditable, public, visible, yeah, should work. Actually, it doesn't. Everything comes back again to the endpoint, how you enter to this blockchain, how you establish yourself in blockchain. And this is a part of legal digital identity. And if this is weak, actually blockchain just empowers the fake trust you have. Because on trust, what blockchain is supposed to give you, as you know, blockchain is called trustless environment or trust machine. But if input is crap, output is even bigger crap. So problem is that it may arise let's say, unjustified trust, and that means that consequences will be even worse. So we have to be really careful what to trust, because I say again, no trust when there is screen between us. We have to have proofs, and those proofs must be verifiable. And of course, European Union has issued GDPR guidelines for identities in blockchain, and they say clearly that personal identifiable data cannot be stored in blockchain because people by GDPR have right to be forgotten. So data must be able to be deleted. Here in Stockholm is a guy called Glenn from Australia. He's building a solution how to delete data from blockchain. But this is kind of new thing. We know that if something is in blockchain, it will remain there. And maybe we don't want it to be there forever. After I am gone, my identity in blockchain will continue living on. Probably not the best idea. So we have to be careful, and probably we have to have a double solution, on-chain and off-chain. Off-chain, we're supposed to have proofs, or let's say, basic documents, what we are representing in blockchain. In blockchain, we are just giving the proof that such document about such person exists. So if something happens, the container containing this data about the person can be removed, deleted, corrected, and so on. But blockchain is just the ledger, keeping the ledger that this happened at this point.
So it's called the log file in a way. Go ahead, Agata.
I don't know anyone who would store personally identifiable information on the blockchain. It's never been the case. So yes, blockchain is, for me, a storage of proofs, right? So, and that's a good fit for that. And we've been saying a lot that I've heard that somewhere recently. that blockchain has been a technology without the problem. Well, I think agentic identity will solve that, and I think blockchain is a very good use case for that. And I'll be specific of where we can use blockchain, okay? So, but just a stat. So Okta ran a study last year, I think, that shows that 75% of companies that use agentic AI for various use cases like commerce, those agents use shared credentials, meaning that there's no way to actually verify how an agent made a decision, what decision they made, and who authorized them to do so. It's a big liability. So first of all, if you equip, actually no, going back to what you said, crap in, crap out, sorry for the language, right? But I see a blockchain as a tool also for adding that data integrity. So proof of storage, proof of process, proof of status, proof of origin, these are all the proofs that a ledger like blockchain can hold, so that we have a record of actually how the data that is used by agent got there. Then you can equip an agent with a DID, so digital identity, and that agent will then have, be accountable with the different rules. And then the agents can distribute credentials between themselves. We're not there yet, right? So right now, when we talk about agentic identity or agentic commerce, it's still controlled computation, in my opinion. That sort of decentralized multi-agent ecosystems are still yet to come. But I think blockchain is a good infrastructure to be able to scale that, and actually is the only infrastructure that will allow for that scalability.
Martin.
Yeah, I think we're being told we have about 5 minutes left. I'll be honest, there's not much I could add to what Agata just said, which I could say better myself. I would probably just double down on the fact that, yes, the fact that we have a top-down push in the EU at least, I think it's interesting to take a kind of a EU look at this, because we are effectively on this continent. And things are already happening. We're not talking about theory. It's happening. Eide, UD, and other different pieces of legislation are here. They're happening. This year, every EV sold in the EU has to have a DPP, that's a digital product passport, for its battery, right? So for the traceability of that battery in the future being recycled and knowing exactly what the carbon footprint is. That's digital identity happening, obviously not on a individual level, but a product level. And it's already in place, and there'll be many more such cases to come in the future. There's plenty more legislation coming from the European Union in the pipeline. So it is happening. ADAS is making that happen. I think we're getting to the point where it's not so much discussion about if blockchain is going to be the backbone of digital identities, but pretty much which chain is going to meet the bar, basically. Meet all the requirements which are laid out by legislation and the regulators. So that's where we are. Which blockchain will be the one?
Anything you want to add, Karola?
Yes, so I think that what it's very, very important to understand that it's a crucial responsibility to educate people about this, because, AI, that's going to be a lot of fraud, a lot of use cases, and so on. So I would like to get again to the big picture, that it's crucial that we understand these threats, crucial that we recognize, and it's crucial that we know what to do to eliminate them or protect ourselves. And it's pretty much the same than back then, at least. I don't know about you, but I remember when I was a child, and my mother told me 10,000 times as I grew up that my little daughter never signed anything without reading it. Never. And I learned it so much, and I never do it. It has nothing to do that I actually became a lawyer, so it's really not that. It's a childhood raising principle. And most clients still don't adopt that one, by the way, but we see what they sign. But it's extremely crucial now in the digital economy that please be conscious, please be responsible, educate yourself, read up, understand, because this is going to be even tougher than the offline economy before.
I think it's good to wrap up on these wise words from Karola. And thank you, Martin. Thank you, Agata. Thank you, Raido, very much. Thank you for the audience. My only recommendation... My only recommendation, of course, would be, in addition to enjoying the Nordic Blockchain Conference to the fullest, would be to please hold on to your identity. Like said in the beginning, it's the only credential you can't renew easily. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much indeed, wonderful gentlemen and ladies. So we are going to move on very, very shortly with a fantastic fireside, actually. Now, as I promised before, because we kind of like had to cut the introduction, right? I wanted to say massive thanks once again to all the sponsors, partners, speakers, specifically also some sponsors that I haven't mentioned before, because there are so many of you kindly supporting, of course, Nordic Blockchain Conference 2026. So alongside the main sponsors, you have already, and you see some of them also here around on the billboards and whatnot. Of course, also I wanted to provide a quick shout out to entities including Blockbit, Allunity, OVH Cloud, Tengani, I hope I pronounced that correctly, correct me later if I didn't. Medion Staking, NBX of course, Crypto Risk Metrics, Taurus, Visa, Yelly, Bitpanda, Enterprise, the Enterprise, so the B2B department, Crypto Processing by Coinspade, Saiba, Pointer Capital, Crypto Swift, Merkle Science, and last but not least also Tradidas. Now, fantastic. In the meantime, right, we have, thank you so much for swapping the stage. I am now very, very happy, and I hope both speakers are here, to introduce wonderful gentlemen for a fireside discussion. We were speaking about speculation and really building that regulated world for real-world assets. Now, first of all, on stage, I'm very, very pleased to welcome Tord Eide. I hope you're here, Tord. Yes, fantastic. Put your hands together for Tord. He's the chairman of the board and founder of the Mint AS. Now, Tord, if I'm not mistaken, feel free to take a seat. The Mint, if I can just say it like that, is a Norwegian fintech company founded by professionals like yourselves from corporate finance, law, and technology. Their goal is to really build that bridge between real-world asset and regulated digital finance. And their first issuance, the Greenland Reserve Coin, very interesting, is Europe's first MiCA-regulated asset reference token. Now, I won't be speaking too much because surely you know way much more than I do about this topic. Now, alongside yourself, we're also welcoming on stage Stig, Alexander, Kjos-Mathisen. Thank you. It's great that you're here. The Managing Director of Norwegian Block Exchange AS. Now, Norwegian Block Exchange, if I'm not mistaken, in my research, I saw it's obviously, as the name says, a Norwegian company with a customer base throughout the Nordics, and it's headquartered in Oslo. Registered, of course, with the Financial Supervisory Authority in Norway, and your goal, and that is what it's all about, is to ultimately really make crypto widely available and let everyone take part in secure, efficient, and user-friendly services based on blockchain. Now, enough from my side, gentlemen. Thank you for being here, and I hope that you have a wonderful discussion for our audience. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for that kind introduction. I think we can skip the intro. She did quite well on the intro side. So we're basically sitting up here to talk about real-world assets and what you and your company have done there, Tord. And one of the things that has always struck me on these kind of conferences and panels is that there's a lot of people talking about, for instance, real-world assets. And they're talking about what they think is going to happen, what they plan to do, but very seldom do you actually have people on the stage that have actually done it. You guys have made real-world assets. So tell me, Tord, what is really the GNRC?
Well, let me tell you a little bit about the background first. We've done it the opposite way from most people. We actually started with an asset. We had an asset that needed a market, that didn't have a financial market available. And we started looking for ways to do this, and there were no set way. It's never been done before. We had a mine in Greenland. Friends of mine had a mine, and they were struggling to get into the market. And I said, why don't we make rubies and sapphires from Greenland into an investable asset? This is a market that's not been available for normal people before, ever. It's for specialists, and people in this room can buy rubies and sapphires easily. You go to the goldsmith and you can get the very expensive thing in a ring. But if you try to give it back, you may get 25 cents on the dollar. So it's not an investment. That you buy a beautiful thing. We ended up talking to Stig. Actually, we met up in his kitchen, and I said, I can buy a mine full of rubies and sapphires. Can you help me create a market for it? And we really didn't know exactly what we were doing and how we were going to do it, but we decided to try out. And we did start creating NFTs. We didn't have an infrastructure, so NFTs was our first. Each stone was one NFT. We've sold a few, but it was really not the way we wanted to do it. It was a hybrid and a training field for us. We were lucky when Micah came because he gave us an infrastructure that we could rely on and that could help us build the trust. So before Stig has more questions, I want to show you actually what we have.
So what we're seeing there is small ruby hearts, right? It's rubies that is cut to hearts. Yeah. So besides from having a friend that has a mine, ruby mine, what other stuff did you kind of have to do to actually get out there? It's like making a token is one thing. Creating a real asset, tokenizing that's something different. What does it take to actually tokenize it? Where do you start?
Very good question, and it's a long process, and it's divided into 5 elements. Tokenization is not the most difficult thing. What we have done, we actually bought about 540,000 rubies and sapphires that we have stored in a separate specialist vault in Bangkok, which is the capital of colored gemstones. So we had to have a storage space run by professionals who can actually manage this. We've started under Micah on a smaller scale. So we have taken out about 99,000 stones, segregated them off our balance sheet, and minted a token, the GNRC. Greenland Reserve Coin. That's our coin. Okay, so then we have a segregated storage. We have full insurance, and it's audited several times a year. And we have created a dashboard that tells you exactly everything you need to know, actually everything we know about this inventory. Then we had to create a white paper under the new regulations, which is easier said than done, but having an inventory starting out helped us to do that. We actually found the biggest problem we had was not related to Micah or blockchain. It was creating trust and value. We started looking for ways to evaluate these stones. What are they worth? And we found nothing. This is a very opaque market. traders sell to each other, and every single person evaluating these stones have some sort of a background in the business, either related to sellers or buyers. So we created our own application for it. We had information on 540,000 stones. That information contains like when it was found in the Apolutuk mine in Greenland, when it was taken out of the mine, when it was shipped to Bangkok for cutting and polishing, and when it was put in the vault. So, and including all the descriptions of a stone, like color, size, inclusions, all that matters. So everything is verifiable, and we can follow each stone from the mine to our vault. And that applies to the stones I have here as well. But how do you put value on it? Okay, so we had the information on what the prices we had paid for it. That's a basis. We also had close to 100,000 sales, or 80-some thousand sales, verifiable sales with third-party buyers, which is a backbone of our pricing evaluation. And we've also been able to scrape the web for information on stones that are being marketed for sale in the market today. And we have 38,000 of those available. And we've created an open algorithm that really is open for everybody to verify and comment on. But based on these numbers, we can actually tell you how much each stone is worth, and create a balance sheet in our inventory that is verifiable and that's built on trust. So that's been the biggest challenge, to actually make this, and it's become a program in its, or a business in itself, doing that.
Yeah, because I remember that when we started, because we have basically been with you with you guys the whole time. We started it. You guys, you had a shitload of stones, and you took about, or at least you tokenized about 3 million worth of euro into the GNRC, and then one of the things that, or one of the challenges that we immediately saw was, how do you actually price and value the GNRC token? Because it's like absolutely every stone is unique. So it's not like gold, where you have 1 gram of institutional grade gold is 1 gram of institutional grade gold. You have stones, each is unique, and these are also from Greenland, which is also unique by itself. Do you think these kind of pricing mechanisms could be used for other real-world asset projects later?
Yes, I think that's very likely. You just need to find actual transactions and make a system out of it. And that's going to create a verifiable pricing mechanism. It's not somebody believing or thinking or hoping. It's based on what somebody else has been able to and willing to pay. And I think that's as close as we can come to a real price in the market. We're doing this, we're the first ones doing this, so we want to make sure that we got a fair price. Okay, so this when you buy a stone for 100,000 in the store, that's the consumer price. You may have 4 layers of sales in between from the mine before you hit that level, and the prices are changing. So what we have done, we bought it wholesale from a mine. We have added, we've doubled that price, which is less half the price of what you pay in the store, and we've added a buffer on top of that of 5%. So we've added more stones to the inventory to make the buyers feel certain that we're on their side. It's going to be a fair price. No one can go to a store and buy a stone at this price, period. This is an investment. And it's going to be an investment in safety. And this is our sort of next level we're going to talk about, because it's not a volatile investment we're talking about. These stones don't go up. They're not going to double, triple in price. Gold has gone up 100% this last 12 months. It's volatile. It's risky. The US dollar, I work in the US and all my income is in US dollars, and it's compared to the Norwegian kroner, it's dropped 20%. So it's absolutely volatile. This is the GNRC is a safe haven where you place your money, and it's not going to increase a lot, but it's not going to go down. It's going to be a stable place for you to have a certain amount of your wealth placed. That's the whole idea. And as a backstop, if everything goes crazy, you can give me a call and you can redeem it. And you can get stones sent to you, provided that you do your AML and KYC and all that. We'll send the stones to your home. So this is a real world asset backed by real things. These things. And you can trade it, you can hold it, and if you want to, you can get it back. And you can put them, make jewelry out of it, or keep them in your safe. So that's the entire idea behind it.
How is scarcity kind of different when since we're basically at the blockchain event, right? So a lot of us is relating blockchain to crypto and Bitcoin. How would you say tokenized rubies, and especially rubies and sapphires from Greenland, is different than for instance, Bitcoin and maybe gold?
Well, there's some obvious differences, but you have two different types of scarcity. One type of scarcity is technological set scarcity. We're not going to produce more than X. The GNRC has a live scarcity. The fact that the mine in Apalotok in southern Greenland is actually closed down, and it's not going to open again. So the inventory we have is it. So if you want to buy something from Greenland, you know it's it's stopped. It's never going to happen again. Mining in Greenland is expensive, so this is a final backstop. When our inventory is sold out, there are no more rubies and sapphires from Greenland. So it's a major difference.
Like you said, if we're kind of looping back a bit, you said that you started actually with the NFT marketplace, where each NFT represented an individual stone, and you basically you still have that marketplace on MBX. But then Mika came, and we kind of saw that opened an opportunity to create a new product. How did Mika kind of enable you? Actually, was an enabler for you rather than a showstopper.
Many people in this business are really afraid of the date 30th of June, because that's sort of, by that time you have to be MiCA compliant or you're out. Before MiCA, we saw many opportunities, but they were all opaque. We did not see a path that would make me feel safe doing it, because something was legal here, something was illegal other places. And it was just too risky. Micah came along, and we all of a sudden had a path. It was regulated. We knew exactly what we had to prove. We knew exactly what we had to do to make this work. So for us, Micah was a major backbone. And that on top of that, with a structured exchange like NBX, and with Cardano as a structured, safe, trusted, like interstate to put it on, it was all set. It was not that complicated. The ways of doing it were limited, but it was much safer. Before Micah, we wouldn't have dared to do it, because the risk of doing something wrong in an unregulated market where everybody tried to regulate a little bit here and a little bit there was just too high. Micah made it possible, really, for us.
And you were actually the first European asset reference token that was registered. You're still under the exemption rule because you're under the €5 million balance, but yeah, that's very interesting. You mentioned Cardano. You were actually chosen to participate in the Cardano acceleration program. Tell us a bit about how that was and how did that happen?
It's a strange world, and from having this idea to becoming one of 5 countries or companies in the world chosen by Cardano for their accelerator program really has been a fantastic journey for us, and we're grateful for that, and I think we can be a very important part for Cardano as such. We are built on trust, and they are building trust, so the combination will be great.
Okay, so on the final note here, our time is up. Why should I buy gemstones as a real assets instead of wine, real estate, and other potential real assets?
It's not either. It's not either or. It's simply a place where you put part of your portfolio, a part of your portfolio that you don't want to risk. You don't want it to be exposed to a lot of volatility, and you put it here. If you want to take part in the real estate business or in the art business, you buy a fraction of a Munch picture or a Picasso, and that exposes you to that market. It's a different market, it's a different purpose, and they all have a good reason for being created. It creates a possibility for everybody else, like normal people, to invest in something that was not possible to invest in not long ago.
Okay. That was it. Thank you for listening and sitting in.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Enjoy Stockholm.
Yes, thank you, gentlemen. Yeah, I'm happy to give this. Thank you very much indeed, both Tord and Stig. Thank you so much. It was great to have you all here. And indeed, we are going to move on now to a next keynote, actually. So we are going to hear once again from the BSV Association, one of the wonderful sponsors and partners, of course, of Nordic Blockchain Conference. And we will speak about how blockchain is really rewiring Europe's food systems. Now, I'm very pleased to announce, indeed, on stage our next speaker. But before I do that, before I almost forget, I would very much encourage all of you who are standing there in the back, who are kind of like half luring in, to feel free to move a little bit forward. Of course, chatting and networking is wonderful as well, but also feel free to come a little bit forward so that it looks a little bit more full here, because there are a lot of people here, and it's also nice for our speakers and ourselves, of course, if you're all here united, taking notes and learning and networking and whatnot. Okay, having said that, I'm very pleased to welcome on stage. This is a tricky name for me, coming from the Netherlands, but I'm going to do my best to sound Nordic. Ásgeir Óskarsson. Feel free to say your name properly. Now, Ásgeir, you are the managing director at the BSV Association, where the goal is simply, I believe, to make blockchain work for the real world. And before joining the association, you worked as an engineer, a banker, and a teacher, gaining the technical know-how, the business lens, also working at the Union Bank of Switzerland, and making complex ideas land as an educator as well. Now, BSV is a Switzerland-based nonprofit. And really works to advance the blockchain that is, of course, connected to it. And its mission is really to enhance the adoption of BSV as a scalable, secure, and energy-efficient public blockchain. Now, enough from my side. Please be very welcome on stage. Ásgeir Óskarsson, please put your hands together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you for being here. Looking forward to, do you have a presentation?
Yes.
Okay, we will make sure.
All in sync.
Thanks for being here. Thanks.
Thank you. So my name is Ásgeir Óskarsson. Almost right, but it's an Icelandic name. This is a topic I'm very excited about, so bear with me. When Icelandic people are excited, this is the emotion we're showing, more or less, like we're used to the Nordics. You can go into the next one. Change the subject a bit, because from farm to fork, we've heard a lot, but we're actually talking about a holistic system here. So it's from farm to fork, and then back to the farm, because we need to think of this as one big system. Like Victoria said, my name is Ásgeir Óskarsson, Managing Director for BSV Association. Took over about a year and a half ago the lead there, and really trying to shift the culture and shift our focus as a company on what we're really working on, is to build a better world. And I'm very excited to talk about this because this exemplifies how blockchain really can build a better world. So hopefully be able to inspire you in the next 10 to 15 minutes about that. And to start with that, because I grew up in the Netherlands, so I visited a farm in the Netherlands 2 weeks ago. Because we were talking about how can we work together, them as this part of this consortium. And the biggest problem they were facing is not the traceability. It's simply the fact they don't get paid enough. So if you look at it, they get 0.5 cent per kilo was what they ended up with. So a lot of these farmers, especially the smaller ones, what they do is they don't even harvest the potatoes. They just leave them in there for the next round because it's just not worth it to take them out. So it's a massive waste already at the first step of the stage. So that's a real issue. And then I looked at it, what the data was. And it's actually, you see it, the retail price is around €2 per kilo. And then what you call farm gate, which is what the farmer gets paid, but that is around 10%, 9 to 12%. This is 2023 averages. But obviously he needs to cover all of his costs with that. So at scale you can do it, but the smaller ones are going to have a much more trouble with that. So we're actually having troubles, at least having the system in a sustainable way. And go to the next one. I'll show you the potato supply chain. So me, this really, it blew my mind after talking to this farmer. The farmer keeps about 10% of everything. 25% goes to the packer. Then you have logistics, retailer, and shopper. This is probably not uncommon for other food stuff, right? More or less 10%. The big problem in food industry is that most of the power is here. So we have concentrated retailers that actually define the volumes, define everything. And the farmer, who's actually at the core of everything that we do, like we need to eat, right? We need to eat healthy. They carry all of the risk and end up 10%, taking only 10%. So it's a real issue that we're facing here. If you go to the next one, Theo, switching from potatoes to eggs, it's a bit of a different problem that we need to solve there. It's not necessarily that they don't get paid enough. It's what are you actually buying? In Holland, you had an ophokplicht. So basically all the chicken, because there were avian flu, all the chicken had to go into very, very small spaces. So a free-range egg is an egg a chicken has 4 square meters. A caged egg, it has 0.1. This is what they have. For 5 years, people in the Netherlands were sold free-range eggs with chicken that were living like this. This was a measure, safety measure at the beginning, and justifiably so, but the EU dropped it after 16 weeks, the rule, but the company were still able to do that. And only now, 5 years later, is this actually being rolled back now. There's the last municipalities that are rolling this back. So it's a big issue. The premium stayed, but the disclosure actually went away. And go to the next one. So farming in general, it has a massive problem. It is a dying sector. 5.3 million farms gone in the last 15 years, 40% decline. The Danish Economic Council actually said it might be better just abandoning it altogether. I don't know about you, but I'd still like to eat in the future, right? So it's a very, very important thing that we're addressing here. So there's 3 fundamental broken things. All the value is captured in the supply chain, at the end especially. The information doesn't flow freely, so you have no idea what you're buying, where it's coming from, what you can trust and what not. And the last one is important, labels are not measurements. So you're buying organic, you're paying a premium for organic. Is that food actually better, or are you just buying into a marketing gag? Let's go to the next one. So summarizing, a lot of hard work. Farmers don't get holidays like we do. Bad pay and broken trust. So we actually have a generational issue coming up in agriculture where there's a lack of next generation of farmers going to take over this work, right? Go to the next one. So this is what I get really excited about. So I can smile a bit. It's the common source. It's a consortium of around 20 partners. Includes research institutions, cities, farmers, other associations, and we represent the blockchain and the technology aspect there. The idea is a network of networks. So what you do is currently you have regional supply chains. They all exist. It's the local market that you know. It's the farmer's market. It's the Hofladen in Switzerland where you can go buy your milk. This is all very analog, and it's not it's very disconnected. And the information is not sharing, it's not flowing. You don't know availability, prices, what you're getting. Nope, one back. Sorry. So the idea behind this, it is not our idea, this is coming from a consortium in the Netherlands, is to actually orchestrate this and build this up. Build a knowledge sharing, a product sharing, and really improving the entire food system bottom up, so to say. So it's very much aligned with also the ethos of blockchain. It's empowering individuals, empowering communities, right? You want to incentivize structures, you want to incentivize people who get involved, you want to incentivize farmers better, and blockchain is just the backbone. It's the trust that builds into the system. We heard it earlier already. It's not in the forefront. People shouldn't care that there's blockchain around it. It just works. So rather you have this linear chain where the value gets captured in the back, you actually get a regional ecosystem where others can then contribute as well. So you get this network of networks where people end up winning. Let's put it that way. Yeah. And now it's just blockchain. Now we're going to go into, we are at a blockchain conference, but I did want to set the scene properly, right? Now we're going to talk about blockchain. There's 4 key principles of blockchain that are here, 4 primitives, I would call them. Whoever was here an hour ago, they talked about identity, but it's essentially very important. It's self-sovereign and you own your data. That is the idea behind Bitcoin in the beginning, 2009. It's about creating this community first, individual first. If you talk about Web3, it's about you owning it, right? So we really need to have that. So it's verified credentials. But like Martin said, it's not just the people. A soil sensor at a farm will have an identity as well. A plot of land would have an identity. So you could actually trace really back to the bare granularity of what identity is. Then it's the data integrity part, so the end-to-end, from the sensor to the harvest, to the distribution, to the consumer. We all know that story, and that angle actually has been implemented quite a lot. It's proving what you grew and trusting what you actually bought. It gets interesting when you introduce that loop back, that it's not just the farm to fork, but it's actually the fork to farm. So it's actually you influencing them directly. So either you can pay the farmer directly, You can have a crowdfunding with the farmer, which is already happening in the Netherlands, where you have a community. You can say, okay, I as a farmer am going to make orange juice because that's more profitable than actual oranges. But I will only start doing that batch once I've sold 100 liters of it or 1,000 liters of it. What smart contracts then do is you can lock that value in. So you're actually guaranteed. So that's where it becomes that you pre-purchase something. It's in escrow. That was always also part of the things in blockchain, right? So these are the 4 points that are really important. So I'm going to dive into identity a bit more because I really think that that's really key. Yeah, can go to the next one. Because the way it's been set up with the Common Source Consortium, you have one identity, and that identity is interoperable within all of these networks. So if you are in Amsterdam New West, you have your own identity. But if you then want to contribute to Africa because you have your roots there, or maybe you want to invest in land there, you can join that network there as well with the single same identity. And you define what you share amongst these networks. So that's really key here. And I'll show you that this is the first app that we're doing now. It's from cities leading food production. It's really connecting and matchmaking and the knowledge sharing. So here we're really focused on research institutions, cities and government, starting to really build this up because it's more than just the farmer and the consumer. This is a holistic system that needs fixing throughout and needs policy influence to actually support this. Go to the next one, please. Like I said, your identity is portable, and this is an idea I want this to land a bit. I really absolutely love this idea. This is from a partner company of ours. It's a Bionutrient Food Association. This is an organic farmer who grew up at an organic farm, and he said, well, why is this better? Why is organic better? Why am I paying more for this or for biodynamic or for this? So what he did is take it one step further. He put the science behind it. Empirical evidence collection of is this actually better? And what we're now starting to do is get the community to do that. So there's actually a unit you could use. It's a nutrient density. It's the bricks. It's actually the sugar levels with it, which is in the food. You buy something. You buy an orange at the local co-op. You actually can measure the nutrient density. Then you share that information to actually prove, is this now a good orange or not? And by having this whole community driven, we as people can actually start influencing the quality of food, because I'm not going to buy that anymore if it's not good. Why would I pay double the price for organic if I can get better quality food at lower price? So this is empirical testing and sharing. Yes, all good. You can then link it back to the farm and rewarding the farm. So actually starting to fix the system one bit at a bit. And this is just one of the components there. So this is going live next month. Go to the next one, please. Because now where we get to blockchain. I'll keep it very, very simple. 6 words. If you want this to scale across Europe, if you want this to scale across the world, it needs to be public, permissionless, scalable, cheap. I'll get to that later. Because otherwise, if it's more expensive to do it, no farmer, no consumer will actually do it. It needs to be energy efficient and stable, so never down. And that's where we at BSV Association are very much advocating for. So we're building out the technology and the new node software for the BSV blockchain network. With AWS and OVH, we've actually done tests that it goes over it actually goes over 2 million transactions per second on a layer 1. These are unbounded block sizes, so the technology itself will never be the limit. It's the underlying infrastructure that needs to scale with your businesses. And still at close to zero cost, so we're talking about 1/10,000th of a cent per transaction, actually even. It's even lower than this. So those are the 2 key points which make a blockchain suitable for this underlying infrastructure. Go to the next one. Yeah. Just to make it land, that were 10 million transactions. And that's actually proven at scale that this works. So that were 10 million transactions processed. We did on the testnet, I think we did over 110 billion transactions in a single day. There is no limit to the technology. The only limit is the imagination and the creativity of actually starting to use this technology. So, to close, next week I'll be in the Netherlands. We have this big event in Utrecht. Maybe the people in the Netherlands would like to join. This is where all these consortia come together, a 3-day program where we're actually taking it to the next level. Because what I presented you to now is pilots, and now we want to make sure that we are really closing the loop and really starting to. So there's interest from Amsterdam, Morocco, Dubai. There's a lot of interested entities in this, because food is key. We can't live without food. Robots can. We can. So we need to fix our food system and really have a food safety and resilient food systems. Last one, and then we're done. Fair price for the farmer. That's what we want. A verifiable choice for you. Am I getting the best food for my best quality food for my value? And a food system that everyone can trust again. So that's what we're building. And thank you very much for your attention.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your fantastic keynote. Dank je wel. Hartelijk dank. Just to throw in some Dutch, right? At least some words that I can pronounce apart from some of your names. All right, so we are going to move on finally to another keynote. I'm sure we're going to put it very, very shortly here behind me on the slides. So we have someone with us, Johannes Wirtz. Please be welcome on stage from Bird and Bird. Now, Johannes is actually someone very interesting. I did my research also on you. I've stalked you all on LinkedIn and elsewhere on the networking app, of course. If you're not on it yet, make sure to download it. Said that Johannes is someone really interesting. He's a partner at Bird & Bird's finance and financial regulation practice group in Frankfurt, actually advising national and international clients on banking, regulatory issues, and finance law. And you really focus, I believe, on really the regulatory issues regarding credit institutions, financial services institutions, payments providers, e-money, and whatnot. Now, importantly, Bird & Bird, wonderful partner, of course, of the event, is an international law firm. They're really big, with a focus on helping organizations being changed by technology and indeed this wonderful digital world. Their firm has many lawyers, over 1,600 in 34 offices all throughout the globe. Please, very welcome, Johannes Wirtz from Bird & Bird. Looking forward. Yes, thank you all.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure being here. I guess many of you have discussed MiCA in the last years, and now there's a new topic you need to take a look at if you are a CUSP. You will have covered this already in your license applications, but there is something changing, so watch out for AMLR. If we move to the next slide, we see there is the AML package introduced by the European legislator already quite a while ago, actually. In 2021, there was a first proposal, and then it moved on, and now we have this package of 4 legislative acts. First of all, we have the AMLR, the anti-money laundering regulation, which will cover, as of summer next year, the requirements for KYC, risk monitoring, risk management, and so on. What's new about this is that it's now a regulation directly applicable to all obliged entities in the EU, getting away from the previous system of directives which had to be implemented into national laws. Now we have a regulation which shall ensure that there is more harmonization, uniform laws on all obliged entities, and therefore making it also easier to do cross-border business. Then we have AMLD 6, a new directive, which will cover the supervisory frameworks for the member states. But the major part, important part, is AMLR. Then we have the new EU Anti-Money Laundering Authority, AMLR, based in Frankfurt, and also making sure that there's a more harmonized approach to regulation of anti-money laundering. And finally, already in place since almost 1.5 years, the TFR, the Transfer Funds Regulation, which covers and implements the travel rule, also very relevant for all CUSPs. So we have crypto asset service provider as obliged entities. That's nothing new. That had already been the case since 1.5 years since the Transfer Funds Regulation amended the anti-money laundering directives. But AMLR is taking a deeper dive into crypto, taking the definitions directly from the other regulations, for example, crypto asset service provider directly taken from MiCA, crypto asset directly taken from MiCA. Crypto asset accounts, there we have a reference to the TFR. Same for self-hosted wallets, but then also introducing a new definition of anonymity enhancing coins. So crypto asset service provider remains to be obliged entities, except if you're just providing advice on crypto assets. So what does it mean in practice? You need to perform KYC. That's still nothing new. Also the question, when do you need to perform it? It's still the same. You need to perform it when establishing a business relationship for CUPs, for example. If you provide custody, you are onboarding a new customer, then you are going into a business relationship, performing KYC. And you also need to perform KYC if you are doing occasional transactions. Also, actually nothing new. The question, what is an occasional transaction, is also subject to a consultation by AMLR, which will provide more clarity. In particular, from my perspective, this is a very interesting part. As we have seen with one Q&A from EBA last week, where Dutch EMI asked the question, when I have issued a stablecoin, and do I need to perform KYC on all holders of my coins? The answer from EBA was just, you need to comply with AMLD, and that's it. So questions remain open. Do I have a business relationship as an EMI with all stablecoin holders? Or is it an occasional transaction if they redeem it with me? Still open. Hopefully we get some clarification from AMLR in the future. But if there is an occasional transaction, then there is a threshold. The normal threshold is 10,000 euros. So if I have a cash transaction with below 10,000 euros, I don't need to perform KYC. But as a CUSP, this starts at 1,000 euros, so 10 times lower. And if it's below 1,000 euros, then I still must apply a minimum of identification criteria. So you see, it's more burdensome for CUSPs than for other financial entities. And taking a look at what does KYC mean under AMLR, there's many things which you might recognize from your national laws on AML. Identify your customer, identify the beneficial owner, assess the PEP status, all those things actually appear to be quite common, and you might be familiar with that, what it meant under national legislation. But there might be a practical change, because now the focus is that all European member states apply the same approach, and thereby some national methods which were allowed to perform KYC might change. So even if AMLR might use the same words as you are familiar with national laws, still watch out whether the actual meaning and administrative approach might change. One good thing to mention is that self-hosted wallets remain possible. There's no ban in MiCA, which is good news. However, each CUSP needs to perform a risk assessment on unhosted wallets. Then, after this risk assessment, they need to tackle the risk. They need to have at least one of 4 risk mitigators. One is identifying the originator and the beneficiary and the UBO, or requesting more information about the source and the destination of the transfer, provide enhanced monitoring, or implement other measures. So you see, you need to do your extra homework if there are unhosted wallets in play. And also there we are waiting for additional guidance by AMLR. So you see, AMLR will play an important role in the future when it comes to European anti-money laundering. Different from unhosted wallets are anonymous accounts. Those are not possible anymore. Anonymous accounts are accounts maintained by a crypto asset service provider, but nobody knows who holds it and controls it. This will be not possible in future. All accounts need to be verified, KYC approved, and if there are still existing anonymous accounts, then the KYC needs to be completed before any transaction is initiated from this account in future. To be clear here, as said, it's not on unhosted wallets, so technical service provider remain excluded from this scope. It's just on cusp as obliged entities. As crypto flows borderless, it's very important also to take a look at what's the requirements for cross-border business. Here we have correspondence relationships, as we know from banks. If crypto asset service provider do the same, they have particular duties also on the risk. For example, they need to verify whether their cooperation partner in a non-EU country is regulated there and how they apply AMLRs. Same, they need to have senior management approval before any relationship is entered into. And there are some other risk mitigators. So you see there's a huge focus on compliance under AMLR that reduces the risk, as the legislator still thinks that crypto is very risky from an AML perspective. Connected with this topic, we have a full ban of shell institutions under AMLR. So no CAS may enter into a contractual relationship with a shell institution. Shell institution for CASPs means, on the one hand, those entities listed in ESMA's register on non-compliant entities. So each national regulator can inform ESMA on non-compliant entities under MiCA, and those are then listed in a register, and each CASP shall not engage in any correspondence business with them. And then there is some homework for CASPs. As said, you need to verify whether your correspondent partner is regulated under AML laws in their home state. And now you need to see if they are not regulated there, then you may not engage in any correspondence business. So there a clear prohibition for any shell institutions having a global impact on business of European castes. So watch out for this, as it's a clear prohibition. Finally, the question about NFTs. We have seen this under MiCA, a huge topic. What is an NFT? So this question is already solved. If it's truly unique, it's an NFT. We are waiting on a report from the Commission on the NFT market, still waiting. AMLR is also referencing it. And there we will see some developments in the future. I just heard about the discussion, will there be a MiCA 2.0 or a Markets in Digital Assets Act or whatever. So we are on the way to change some laws. This report might be relevant for that. But if you're just providing services on NFTs, then you are not a CASP, so you're also not an obliged entity in this regards. So that's good news. NFT stay outside the scope of AML laws, making it possible. So you see already, again, the close relationship between MiCA and the AMLR, all working together to enhance the business, but also being a huge burden on your compliance teams. As said, watch out, this will be all applicable as of summer next year. Sounds like a long time, but yeah, if you have not started your homework on that, do so as soon as possible. Talking with clients, I hear that many of them started already a year ago. So yeah, watch out the space and take care that you are compliant also in summer next year. And with that, if there are any questions on AMLR, let me know. And my colleagues from Bird & Bird will be around here, and happy to be in touch.
Johannes, thank you. We would have had even a minute for, if anyone has any question, just because we still have time. So if anyone has a question, feel free to shoot. If not, you can just connect here or with your colleagues, indeed, and chat way longer than 1 minute, because, it's the law. We don't want to limit that to just a minute. Thank you so much. Once again, Johannes Wirtz from Bird & Bird. Now we are going to set up the stage because we're going to move to yet another very, very interesting panel discussion. And then afterwards we have yet another keynote and then speaking then indeed about food. Not sure if all the ingredients are traced yet through the blockchain, but definitely a lot of nice food will be waiting for you. Although of course there's also lots of other sandwiches already up there for grabs, I've seen. Now to the topic of the upcoming panel discussion. We are going to speak about something pretty exciting that is, I mean, exciting depends on your perspective, I suppose, but crypto crimes, right? And fraud, AML, and really financial crime challenges. Now, we've had a couple of changes in the composition of the panel. But it's actually very much updated here. So let me first of all welcome back on stage Raido, Saar. Again, you've already seen him. Feel free to clap if you want a little bit. Now, Raido is the founder and CEO of ComplyOnce, which is building the trust layer for the digital economy. And he's doing much other things on the side as well, including being the president for the Estonian Web3 Chamber already for 6 years. Very well-renowned builder and kindly moderating this panel. Thank you as well. Alongside yourself, Raido, we are very pleased indeed to welcome on stage as well. Let me just move to the right one. Dan Hash of Merkle Science. Dan, are you around? Dan?
Dan is coming pretty shortly.
All right. Then, of course, I've already seen Erica. So, Erica Stanford, please feel free, put your hands together. The lead on strategy at CMS UK, where she advises us on topics including crypto and digital assets risks, scams, digital crime, misinformation, disinformation. You're also an associate guest lecturer, Erica, on crypto at the University of Warwick, and you have written a book on crypto crime. If I'm not mistaken, right? Yes, that's fantastic. Now, Dan, are you already here? If not, we are also going to welcome on stage Jonathan Palares of Valega. Yes, fantastic that you're here, much appreciated. Feel free to take a seat. Now, Jonathan is the co-founder and CPO of Valega Chain Analytics, and indeed also the founder of Valega Capital. It is a company founded in 2018 and headquartered in Helsinki, and it's really specializing in cryptocurrency fraud investigations, very interesting, regulatory compliance, and advanced forensic analytics. They provide all sorts of support. Now let me just, yes, fantastic, just double checking. Please feel free to join us on stage. You're Dan, correct? Yes, fantastic. Dan Haas from Merkle Science. Please put your hands together. He is a digital assets, SME, and solutions architect with over 10 years of experience, correct? Building at the intersection and working there of blockchain, tech, and delivery. Merkle Science, of course, is a predictive cryptocurrency risk and intelligence platform that really helps crypto companies and all sorts of other entities detect, investigate, and prevent illegal activities involving crypto. Is Marc here as well? We weren't sure. Marc, are you here? If not, enough talking from my side, and then we're going to hear all about the substance finally. Thank you all for being here.
Hello, everybody. Our panel today is about probably most burning and reputational problem in any digital industry, but we are talking about how to combat cybercrime in crypto. Fraud, AML, and financial crimes challenges. This is what we're going to be speaking about today. And before we start, I want to say that last year, fraud was the most successful startup in the world. It had annual raise 800%. I would invest into this startup. I don't know where to buy shares, of course, but I think maybe some of you do. But we are here to try to kill this business. It's impossible. But at least we're going to try, because damages of fraud last year were 9.5 trillion USD. If cybercrime would be an economy, it would be the third largest economy after US and China. Makes you think, right? And one more thing that it tells us, we are combating with money laundering for years. We started it in 2001. Thomson Reuters, actually, the World Check was founded by my friend David Leppan that time. We have enhanced all the measures what we are using to combat AML, or to enforce AML, but still efficiency is 0.02%. This is a startup I wouldn't like to invest in. By the way, their yearly budget globally is $500 billion and 0.02% efficiency if we compare money spent and how much illicit funds were actually frozen. So this is the situation. But let's see, do we have a fighting chance, and what we have to do to make crypto reputation better and is the crypto at all this bad reputation worth what everybody is speaking. But before that, let's start with saying a couple of words about yourself. And let's start with you.
Sure, thank you. So hi, I'm Erica. I work at international law firm CMS. We've got a big crypto team and act for about 500 crypto companies in all things. I focus on risk and what can go wrong. And I wrote a book about crypto scams called Crypto Wars. It's in 15 languages, not sure about Swedish. And just finished writing a textbook on stablecoins. It's about law and regulation, but the risk section is very big, and how stablecoins are used in money laundering is also very big. And then there's a bit about what you can do about it and how to freeze them and seize them. So thank you.
Well, thanks for that. And I'm Jonathan Palaris. I'm one of the founders of Valega, and we work just as many other providers here next to me with blockchain analytics, fraud investigations. We've been doing that since 2018, so I believe we've been seeing a lot of things since that times. And well, currently here we are doing our best to make sure that we have a fighting chance, as Raido said, when it comes to financial crime, and to actually help the scam victims out.
I'm Dan. I'm a solutions architect with Merkle Science. Merkle Science does predictive blockchain analytics, AI-powered transaction monitoring, forensic investigations, and yeah, we sit at the intersection of public sector, law enforcement, private sector, crypto exchanges, financial institutions, as well as crypto-native businesses, so the protocols, the chains of the world. My job consists a lot about building solutions, so customize them based on, depending on the chain, depending on the token they support, depending on the risk profile. But it is twofold, right? So we have the investigative part, which is, you look at backwards, you look at the exposure, what has happened, but then we also look at the predictive analytics. So what do we expect can come next? So we look at behaviors and other things that we can get into more, I'm sure. But yeah, all about combating crypto crime.
Thank you very much. Don't give it away. Let's do a less manual job and let's more brain work. So I am substituting with the original moderator. So I saw this panel preparation just 15 minutes ago. Doesn't matter, because crime, this is all what we know. So Dan, I read from here, I'm not sure, but I read that some reports say that there is 1% only of all the crypto transactions are illicit. World Bank estimates that 2 up to 5% traditional finance are illicit transactions. So how do you comment on that?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting one. I think for years now, just for a little bit of context there, I spent the last sort of 6-7 years working at firms, Chainalysis, who famously put out the report of 1% crime, and a pre-security firm called Immunify. So I can tell you that crime is viewed differently when you refer to this 1%, because you have the crimes that are like on-chain, meaning the crime has actually happened, there is an unwilling transaction, there is a break of the code, and so forth. Then we can discuss if code is law, if that's really a crime, but that's a different conversation. Then we have the crimes that are occurring in the financial, traditional world, I should say, when the proceeds of that are being laundered using crypto. So it's nothing really illicit that's happening. If you look at blockchain analytics, things are not illegal, but they are, of course, proceeds of illegal operations in the real world. So that is often a misconception when we talk about the 1%. The 1% is like detected crime, but still that 1% makes all of us have a job, right? Because we're talking trillions in volume, so it's not negligible.
Okay, but what do you think? What is the effectiveness of blockchain analytics on all of this? I want to ask it from all of you, because let's say I'm a criminal. I know that everybody are mandatory checking 5 stops back So I make 5 stops before I stop into the regulated exchange. So is it like playing fool, like pretending to be compliant just to, or tell me, I want to have all of your opinion on this, how effective those blockchain analytic tools are in real, because you know they are not cheap neither. So every CASP or WASP is using bare minimum possible, right? Less friction, faster transactions. So what is your opinion?
I mean, great question, right? Because I think we're looking at it from 2 perspectives, from the compliance standpoint for the checks and controls, but then we're also looking at it from an investigative standpoint, right? Where the crime has already happened. We are going backwards to investigate, and this is not so much for preventative measure. This is more having a just legal system, right? If someone's getting scammed, you want to be able to address that. If there is, God forbid, someone's ordered a murder of a darknet market, again, you want to be able to investigate that. Now, going back to your question, I guess, in terms of using the data, criminals, of course, they are getting more sophisticated. They are learning that these methods, when I started out in this space over 10 years ago, everyone thought it was anonymous, right? Everyone said, oh, crypto, it's completely anonymous. Then we very quickly realized the blockchain is very public, very easy to, very transparent. And as the tools became more sophisticated, so did the criminals. So now we are looking more at, as I mentioned earlier, predictive behavior. So in the traditional financial world, how they move fiat, for example, is very much akin now using, for example, stablecoins. So I think the methods are there, right? The way criminals operate is there. They're getting more, intelligent, you could say. But so are we to combat that.
Jonathan, there are 2 types of crimes, right? Let's say if we're talking about fraud, the best way is to establish a new wallet, completely clean, virgin one. And I transfer my stolen funds there. So I'm pretty good. I can pass every check. Or the other part, that if I have stolen those funds earlier and in the end I take after 5 stops them to one wallet, what I want to wash them out to fiat money. So is there any chance we can really stop crime with blockchain analytics?
I mean, it's a good question, and I've heard this before. It's like, so how far back can you actually go? And the question is always, we can go as much as we can, but let's also be real. The data will get noisy the more far back we go. So in the end, we're going to have to understand that our findings also needs to have a legal proof. It also needs to make sure that we need to make sure that when the perpetrator is being held or is in court for his potential crime, then it also needs to be backed up. And of course, it's very, very hard for sophisticated players. What the type of criminals, if we're talking about sophisticated hackers, they know, of course, how to play the game in a way that is very hard for us to detect. But then we also have a big group of other people that are not pros, and which we see directly on chain and through other behavior methods that this group is not so sophisticated. So it really depends on the profile of the criminal we're talking about. And just to fill in to where my panel member here said, the exposure management of 1 to 2%, sure, but how did we count that exposures? Did we count gambling-related entities, anonymous web services and so on? This might be suspicious from the eye, but it's not illegal. So it's very hard to say, put a particular number on it from an on-chain perspective. But if we look at it from an off-chain perspective, how many of those crimes have actually not been stopped in the bank? So before we can do magic on-chain, we need to also make sure that we have better detective collaborations, not only our on-chain companies, but also with the rest of the thread, with the centralized players out there that needs to also come on board and actually recognize that we have crypto exposure together, or we will not catch, we will not be effective, we will not be able to do the work and actually increase the level of detection and exposure in all types. So that's kind of my answer to it.
Thank you. Eric, what do you think? today, we can use AI for analyzing all the blockchain analytics tools. So if earlier you saw this spider web, it was very difficult to understand for human comprehension at all. But today, I can feed it into AI and even predict what happens next. Or I actually, if I don't put a limit of 5 stops, I can actually know all your history. But what do you think, Erika? Would we see, let's say, a new wave of cybercrime if we switch off blockchain analytics at all for tonight, midnight? What happens tomorrow?
So, gosh, interesting. Switching off all blockchain analytics wouldn't stop crime. Blockchain analytics doesn't stop crime. What blockchain analytics does is when crypto has been stolen or illicitly gained, you can track where it's gone and, ideally get it back. But there's always going to be hackers and there's always going to be criminals either stealing crypto. And one of the problems in crypto is that a lot of the crypto companies are notoriously bad on cybersecurity. There's a lot more that they could do to protect their assets, and some of them take that seriously, looking after their users' assets, and some don't at all and don't do as much as they could to protect their customers' assets in terms of decentralization or in terms of sort of various cybersecurity measures. So if you turn off all blockchain analytics, probably what crypto companies would have to do is reconsider how seriously they should look at cybersecurity. Would it impact crime? No, probably not. I think what it would impact is the ability to find out where the crypto has gone and get some of that back. I mean, the numbers of crypto stolen are huge, but then if you look at the numbers of that crypto that is stolen, that is then found and traced and seized by blockchain analytics, that's also huge. Not as big, but it's still a big percent of that. So it would just end up being a lot more money lost to crime, because before I was in crypto, before blockchain analytics was really a thing, you could trace it. Humans can trace crypto. It's just a really laborious, slow process, and there's a number of blockchain analytics people in the room. It could be traced by humans. It's just a lot slower, and you wouldn't be able to keep up anywhere near with how you can launder crypto, which is really, really quickly and really sophisticated. I imagine someone enterprising would create a new blockchain analytics company within months. So.
Yes, and I actually agree also what Jonathan said about those levels of criminals, beginners. I had personal experience. One of my friend's crypto company was hacked, and it was because they didn't update some internal cybersecurity measures, and that's how a wallet could be approached, and they lost only 400,000, something like that. But the criminal was beginner. He stole it, and then he didn't know what to do. Funds are still staying in the same Ethereum wallet, and he's not touching them, just in case. Maybe he hopes that in a few years it's a good investment. But of course, it's under surveillance as soon as he moves it into fiat. And if you're stupid enough that you just did it because you could, probably you will be caught. So let's move. Before we move to the next block, I think we haven't discussed one thing. If I'm a big narco cartel businessman and I delivered you 10 tons of cocaine, you don't have to make a transaction in Bitcoins. You can give me the wallet. Thank you very much. And here are your seed phrases. Let's do business next week. So this doesn't even appear in chain, because we can use this as money. We can take it with us to the plane. What is this? This is my memory stick. Okay, pass. It's 1 billion memory stick. So, but anyway, crypto and banking. In Nordics, and I think everybody in the world, we face the same problems that banks don't like us, right? If you want to have a bank account, it can take months and months, and sometimes they don't open it to you at all. And if banks are opening accounts to you, then probably fees, but you are paying completely different than some other companies paying. So how do you see this Now in MiCA, when basically, at least in Estonia, the competent authority that is regulating crypto is the same that regulates payment institutions, credit institutions, banks. So do you see that there is some silver lining that we are getting somewhere where banks will be open to crypto? Because first MiCA license, let's say MiCA license issued in Estonia or for Estonian company was LHV Bank. So banks are coming to crypto field to play our game. But do you see that they will start to take us more seriously? And is there any future for us to have like bank account like any other regular company? Let's start then with you.
Sure, I think it's quite evident that the banks are now playing catch up and that the industry kind of moved first. Same with the regulation. Sure, it's great that we have regulation, that we have clearer rules, because we would never get institutional players. I used to be in the camp that we will self-govern and we will get everyone's going to be a degenerate and have their own sort of wallet infrastructure, but it's just it's a dream, right? That's not going to happen, and I've sort of learned that the hard way. That's why I'm now working with institutions, helping them understanding the risks that are involved, but also the benefits of using blockchain technology. And just to go back, I have to disagree in the sense that blockchain analytics cannot be used to prevent crime. I would say the police in that case are not preventing any crimes, right? Criminals are, they are committing crimes and you go and arrest them. But that's one thing, right? That you act as a deterrent. But blockchain technology is so powerful that we can see some of these sophisticated hacks. The heuristics of this hack involves, for example, a flash loan, a large liquidity pool. It might involve a few other transactions. And we can see that this is still not happen, right? Like Minority Report, if you've ever seen the film with Tom Cruise, like we can detect that this is now going to take place with a high degree of certainty, and we flag that as a risk. And in these cases, I would argue we are preventing crime because we can move funds from a treasury. We can take certain actions before the hack has happened, before someone's got scammed, before any public key is compromised. So I think this we can do with blockchain. We can't do that with a fiat. And for you saying that.
And I agree that even if we don't know who is the criminal, we can put a spotlight and we can follow wherever he goes. It's much better because in fiat you cannot do it. So if crypto is so good, so traceable, so transparent, why banks don't want to open us accounts, or do you see that it will be changing? Can we have bank accounts like businesses?
I think we're on a good road there, and I think we have to step away a little bit from on-chain, and we have to actually talk about off-chain, and that is really where we need to catch up, because if we're looking about the traditional banking risk model that's been there for decades, they are not equipped for DeFi in general. And when we are doing a lot of detection, forensic work on-chain, it's really not how they do today on the traditional banking risk model. It's another world for them. So when I'm talking about off-chain, is that we need to actually start talking banking language with the banks. It's basically very simple. By understanding the off-chain better, starting with, is there any income in exchange from a licensed CASP or unlicensed one? And that is pretty easily to actually obtain records, because it's records that is out there, it's fragmented, yes. But if we start from that point of view, if somebody sends money from, just example, Kraken, and it's Payward Limited, but they have no understanding that Payward Limited is an exchange, then we will have this problem that the banks will say no, because I don't understand this world. So it's easier for them to say just no. And we're talking about the new, most of the compliance people out there on TradFi, it's very imminent that many of them have never even done a blockchain transaction or even know what an explorer is. So starting from an on-chain perspective with the banks is maybe not the best approach. We have to start actually with another terminology. We need to kind of go in, we need to get into the risk models, speak their language basically, and then we can get more crypto adoption, because then there wouldn't be any need to say no, because they can already control this. So this is where I believe that the crypto community needs to push towards, in my perspective.
Okay. Would you like to elaborate this Is it okay if we are doing it so well, we are so transparent, why banks are not opening us bank accounts?
Well, there's two things I'd add to what the others have said. Is banks largely are worried, and largely from what I've seen, do not understand blockchain analytics. They don't understand how much you can trace crypto. And everyone we speak to in law enforcement, they're like grateful when a crime is done in crypto as opposed to in fiat, because it's easier to trace crypto. You can see more than you can with fiat. And banks, they've got a cautious risk appetite, and they partly don't understand exactly how much you can see and how much you can trace with crypto analytics, and that's an education problem. In the UK specifically, there's a fraud reimbursement rule whereby banks have to reimburse victims of fraud, and there's a percentage of crime goes into crypto. So part of it goes into that the fraud reimbursement rule has not worked by any definition. It's increased fraud in the UK. What it's meant is that consumers are less risk adverse, are more likely to send money to scams because they know that if they don't get the money back, they'll get it back from the banks. It's increased fraud. It's bad for banks. It's bad for crypto. But I think the main answer to that is banks just don't understand exactly how much you can see in crypto and would benefit from working more closely with blockchain analytics and also more closely with crypto platforms. The large crypto platforms also do not benefit from crime. They have the same end goals. I think it's just a bit of caution on the side of the larger, more traditional banks.
Okay. We know that MiCA regulation allows banks easily to start providing crypto services. Much more easy than this is for CASPs or today's virtual asset service providers. But we are actually doing something they are afraid of, especially central banks, stablecoins. You know that MiCA sets very harsh limits on daily volumes of stablecoins, and if those volumes are exceeded, then you have to start working against your own protocol. What do you see is the future of stablecoins? Is there any future at all? Or is there future in the environment of MiCA? Because we know Tether is the most used stablecoin in the world. But this is not European. Europe says about Tether, you know what they said. Circle has coin for US and for Europe. They say that if you're transferring funds from US to Europe, they burn original token and mint another token in Europe. On paper, by the way, it doesn't happen. But on paper they do. They have procedure, how they do. One token stops in the middle of ocean, stops swimming, and the other one starts it from the point. Completely stupid, let's be honest, right? If I want to pay a coffee, and if there is a behind such infrastructure I have to pass, including blockchain analytics, probably I will stay, the coffee lines will be like kilometers. So what can we do, and what future do you see in stable coins? And is it a threat for regular TradFi?
Happy to start on that. So stablecoins massive. It's all of the benefits of crypto, but without the volatility of crypto, and assets are backed. So cross-border payments are already massive. There's a lot of instances in the world where sending traditional fiat money is more expensive. It's slower. Not everyone has a bank account to be able to accept fiat, so there's a huge market for that and a huge need for that. The world is going digital and the world is going agentic. So agentic payments, where you've got machine paying to machine. We're only just at the baby steps of that. That's going to be big. And agentic machine payments need something stable. They need something that's fully digital. They can't be paying huge amounts of money or waiting for banks to open. So stablecoins are perfect for that, and that's a market that's only just beginning. In micropayments as well, with traditional fiat, it's very hard to pay, for example, creators, as there's been huge problems without naming brand names, but where creators haven't been paid evenly and fairly and on time, because sending out micropayments with fiat money isn't efficient, whereas with stablecoins you can do that. If I listen to a song, you can just pay 1p here to a creator or 2p there or whatever. So it opens up a huge potential that we're only just starting to see the beginnings of. And they're already used in institutional finance, and a lot of stablecoin use, we don't call it stablecoin, and I think stablecoin's a terrible word anyhow. And it doesn't need to be a crypto thing, it doesn't need to be a stablecoin thing, it's just a thing that happens in the background to move money more cheaply and efficiently. But seeing as we're on a crime panel, stablecoins are also very useful in crime, and criminals prefer them for all of the same reasons. And I think the last statistic I heard, there's a few statistics, but somewhere between 83 and 87% of all crypto crime is in stablecoins. And of course, they're the best way to launder crypto, the best way to get crypto out of crypto through OTC off-ramping desks where you don't have ID checks at all of them. So yeah, they're also playing a dominant role in crime.
Yeah, but if we take this, Jonathan, what do you think, how decentralized those stablecoins are? We all know that they are issued by someone, so actually you can froze those assets, you can blacklist wallets. So it's supposed to be like helping law enforcement, not criminals. What is your opinion?
I think I'm speaking from just an institutional point of view now that we see so many getting into the stablecoin game, but then there is also indirect exposure from other coins and bridges in DeFi. And kind of my question is, especially for all the players that is getting into this space, is more or less like, how are you going to handle those exposures coming from all the bridges and DeFis and protocols and risky assets in general? So I'm more kind of concerned from that point of view, if that is really being thought about. But just saying what Eric was just saying, that of course we see a lot of crimes happening in DeFi, especially when it comes to pig butchering, investment scam. These types of criminal profiles seem to be in love, or how we can call it, with the stablecoin ecosystem. What I'm still not sure about is that if the players are actually entering this space really understand the potential exposures that they're actually having by entering this space. But otherwise, I'm pro-innovation, been since 2018. But of course, this is a concern in my end, because we all know, especially in this space, that in the end, the criminal group, they want fiat money. That is where they want the off-ramping is extremely important. So if you're opening up these doors for these ecosystems, we also need to make sure that our exposure management also can handle this internally.
No, I mean, the topic of stablecoin is huge. I was in Amsterdam last week for StableCon conference there, and I think speaking about banks understanding a language, when you alluded to it already, because we talk a lot about stablecoins in the context of payments, but there is huge, benefits of treasury management, OTC liquidity flows, cross-border payments and remittances, and this the banks actually do understand. We have the largest consortium of banks in Europe now, having their sandbox with over 40 banks now trying out their own stablecoin purely for treasury operations management. So I think that is one use case. But then what we're seeing, of course, when it comes to payment, I think even today, 95% of stablecoins are in DeFi. And like you said, DeFi, great to trade, great to do various transactions, self-custody, but eventually if you want to get into the fiat world, you need an off-ramp, right? And usually 9 out of 10 times this is a service regulated entity who's then exchanging your crypto for fiat, and then they need to do KYC checks at that point. So to exit, it's today very cumbersome, borderline impossible to do it in a legal way. Therefore, the stable coins that we can see. But of course, there is other operations, money laundering, things like cross-chain, right? We have probably the largest stablecoin now is actually on Tron volume, right? Which many people don't even know about the Tron blockchain. People think it's like Ethereum or Solana would be the largest ones, but it's actually a lot of Tron, and a lot of times they switch between different blockchains, right, in order to obfuscate further. So we need to detect all of that type of behavior as well, not just, but to piggyback off one of your points as well, we talk about two types of stable coins, not to get too technical now, but we have the asset-backed, right, the USDT, USDC of the world, where you have an issuer who can freeze and can, take actions. But then you also have algorithmic stable coins that are completely decentralized, following a very different mechanics, and those are harder to then control. Today, there is a preference for, of course, USDT and USDC, but that might very well change, and we need to be prepared for that world.
Okay. What do you see future will bring us? In Europe, my opinion is that we are over-regulating crypto and we are effectively killing it, while other world is watching our mistakes and learning and actually thinking before acting. So what do you think if today's regulations like AMLR 6 and MiCA and travel rule, we didn't even talk about travel rule, but this is too long topic. What do you think future holds for Europe? Will we have crypto asset service providers like we have them today at all in 2 years? Or we have very clean crypto landscape, no crime, only good people with ties are making transactions, buying coffee with stable coins?
I wish for the latter, but unfortunately that's not going to happen. I think the adoption is going to come in multiple phases, like we've seen already in the last 10 years. It started as a very grassroots movement. Bitcoin was the only one, then came Ethereum, then was the ICO bubble of 2017, and then it's just maturing, right? And the same way, I think payments are going to mature into like infrastructure that we don't even realize is blockchain or crypto anymore. I think it's just going to be so intertwined. But as for the regulation, that is, of course, hindering innovation. And Europe is notorious for over-regulating. But I think it is tools that are at our disposal. We can, maybe not with the US dollar dominance, we can't make a euro stablecoin and expect that that's going to be as liquid as the dollar because simply the demand isn't there. But we can make it more friendly for businesses to come here, operate, set up shop, maybe not, overtax on certain gains. Again, other things that you can make it friendly for innovation and have more hubs. Because right now we're seeing an exodus of people leaving Europe to set up shop elsewhere. And regulatory arbitrage is also another one.
And Jonathan, what do you think if AI helps us analyze blockchain analytics much more easily? We have full picture of what happens, or we can predict what's going to happen, how it will affect the future crime?
Oh, AI is kind of a big thing coming up right now, and I would say, just to answer that, AI is being used today mainly from a forensic investigation point of view, is to always, have fake contracts or fake profiles. That's kind of the AI that we see on a regular type of basis, being used to basically just forge any type of document. But then the AI that I am a little bit more like what I'm seeing in the horizon that could be a challenge for us is that we're talking about agents making transactions on our behalf on unhosted wallets, for example. So if we're looking at it from an analytics point of view, that we will be chasing an AI agent who will be under influence of, for example, a state actor, then we're talking about some deep concerning there in the horizon. As much as I am pro AI, but this is something that will be a thing in the future, and we can see it coming because of the new AI agents and everything that is innovation that is taking place in this world. So we'll be prepared for that when it comes.
Okay, so we see that there is a future for criminals. Your final 2 words: what will future bring? What AI will change in crime in blockchain?
Well, the main thing I'd add is the impersonation and deepfakes. You don't know who you're talking to, and the AI just makes it easier to fake websites that look identical to a real one, fake messages and email addresses that look identical to a real one, or fake videos and voices of people. So you just don't know who you're dealing with anymore, and you can't trust anything. And it can create so much noise, so much misinformation, so many fake things. It's going to be, I think, increasingly hard to know.
Okay, we have much longer panel next year because we have more crime next year. Good. Thank you very much for joining us. And we can discuss further behind the scenes. because topic is much wider than 40 minutes.
Absolutely. Thank you all, gentlemen and lady. Of course, Erica from CMS, Raido from ComplyOnce, Jonathan from Valega, and Dan from Merkle Science. Thank you all very much. And whilst we take off these seats, we are going to learn from someone very, very interesting about his company and his project, and maybe even more some announcements, who knows. I would be very, very pleased to start sharing a little bit more about Stefan Radonjani. Now, not entirely sure about the pronunciation here. You're gonna for sure say that a little bit better in just a second. Now, Stefan, if I'm not mistaken, you are the co-founder and CEO of Veli, or Veli, explain that to us later as well, which is, that is the most important, obviously a crypto investment platform for financial advisors. And Stefan has led as well the business development for various crypto companies, including CryptoMods and Bitpanda. And importantly, you've also taught on crypto topics as a university lecturer. Now, Veli itself, or Veli, has created a web platform, very interesting, that really helps financial advisors to easily invest in crypto and tokenized assets and manage their clients' portfolios. And also through a mobile app, advisors can actually onboard their clients very easy and enable them fundamentally to monitor their portfolios. Now, I believe that we're all sat here on stage. Yes, fantastic. Stefan, please put your hands together and welcome Stefan. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Really looking forward to your keynote, and thank you for being here.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. No sound? I think so. Sorry? No. Yeah? Hi everyone. My name is Stefan and I'm the CEO and co-founder at a crypto investment platform called Veli. If there is one thing that I want you to take from this presentation, it's this, that crypto index products are about to change how you invest in crypto. I want you to think of somebody that you know, a doctor or a lawyer, somebody who bought Bitcoin years ago and they never sold it. They never traded it, they're just holding. That person has no time to research thousands of cryptocurrencies, to constantly monitor the crypto news or analyze charts daily. That person is not somebody out there, that person is most of us here in the room. Yet, every feature, every app, every product in the crypto industry is designed for a person who trades every day. Not for you. I'm going to explain you why that is about to change. Back in the day, it was okay to have such product offering, but that time is gone. When majority of traders, when majority of users on crypto platforms were tech-savvy traders. Nowadays, majority of users are regular people like you and me that want to invest long-term. As a matter of fact, over 60% of users nowadays are the so-called hodlers. The platforms started realizing this, and they realized that the product offering that they currently have is not suitable for this type of investors. They realized that they need to introduce new products, so they decided to venture into new asset classes, started adding stocks, and products that allow you to add yield to your crypto. Before I go further, I want to make sure that we're picturing the same thing. A crypto index is simple. It's a collection of cryptocurrencies that has its own methodology and whose constituents are rebalancing automatically every month. Think of S&P 500, but for crypto. With S&P 500, you're invested in the stock market as a whole. How the 500 largest US stocks are moving, that's how the market is moving. The same thing in crypto. With the top 10 crypto index, you're able to capture 90% of the market capitalization of the crypto industry. When we asked wealth managers on our investment platform why they're investing in this product so much for their clients, they said that actually they don't want to gamble whether this coin or that coin will go up. They prefer to invest in crypto markets as a whole because they see crypto as just another asset class. And crypto index products allow them to do exactly that. The beautiful thing about indices is that there are all kinds of them, from those that allow you to invest in the largest coins on the market to those that help you capture those coins that have the best momentum currently. Also, there are thematic indices like AI coins index, DeFi bundle, or a meme coins basket. The great thing is that whatever narrative you're interested in, there's an index for that. Now, I want to illustrate one point by doing something with you. I want all of you in the audience, to the count of 3, to clap once with me. Just once. So 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Seems like everyone is listening. That's how much time it takes to buy a diversified portfolio of 10, 20, or even 50 coins. One click to buy an index, and you are done. Imagine if you were to buy 50 coins individually, how much time that would take, or to every month rebalance the portfolio manually. Now, most of us want to invest in crypto in a smart way and get on with our lives. That's what crypto indices allow us to do. You buy once, and your portfolio is always up to date. Why is that so important? Imagine you bought the top 10 coins back in 2018. You would be stuck with coins such as Litecoin, IOTA, and so on that significantly declined in value over the past 10 years. However, and that portfolio would generally not perform that great. However, if you, at the same time, instead of that, invested in an index of the top 10 coins, those coins would drop out of the top 10, and Solana and other coins would enter the mix and replace those coins automatically. That portfolio would have performed much better. People who are just starting out with crypto and don't know what to buy, for them, crypto index is a perfect first purchase. Now, there is a rhetorical question. Can you name a single serious investment platform in traditional finance that offers stocks or ETFs but doesn't offer index products? You probably can't because it doesn't exist. Index products are a standard. They are expected. And they are now coming to crypto. Bitpanda, Kraken, Crypto.com, and some other platforms have already implemented index products and started offering them to their users. So what is it that these platforms have realized that others didn't? They realized that institutions are entering this space. They want to invest in products that they're accustomed to in traditional finance. They also realize that the user base is maturing. They want to invest and not speculate. Also, they realize that they need a way to stay ahead of the competition. With an index product, they suddenly have a product that helps them differentiate from competitors instead of competing on fees. Cutting fees every month until they're no longer profitable. Finally, they realize that they need a way to earn revenue from their existing users instead of constantly chasing new users. When you buy Bitcoin and hold it long term, the platform only makes money at the moment when you purchased it, and then for many years, nothing. Meanwhile, they have costs of custody, KYC, infrastructure, insurance, premiums, and so on. If those same funds were instead invested in an index product, they would generate recurring revenue. Through the process of rebalancing, their transactions buy and sell every month, and fees would be collected. So those 60% of hodlers, they would actually, instead of being just passive users on your platform, automatically become active users. While you as a user can generate really lucrative returns from indices, platforms can earn well from them too. As a matter of fact, they can generate up to 20% annually from indexes. That is not a typo. On our own platform, with only 3 million in assets under management invested in indices, we were able to generate over €500,000. Larger platforms can generate much more than that. Platforms started thinking about how can they generate revenue from their existing users. And one of the products that they added was a product that allows you to earn yield on your crypto, which is lending, staking, liquidity mining, and so on. But these products, they don't make them much money. So if you, as a user, can earn less than 1% interest on your Bitcoin, platform can only get a fraction of that. Now, compare that to up to 20% that indexes can generate for them, you can clearly see why it's such a superior product compared to others. Now, you might be wondering, okay, if it's such a great product for everyone, why haven't more platforms implemented this product yet? Well, the answer is because it's fairly difficult to implement. I have implemented this product at 3 platforms before, including Bitpanda, and I can tell you, it's not just bundle some tokens and you're good to go. It's way more complex than that. First, you need to create indices. Then you need to backtest them. It's a back and forth process. Once you're happy with the indices, then you need to implement them on a platform. So that doesn't mean just creating a nice front end. It's also all the background calculations, rebalancing logic, all the decisions that you need to make on the regulatory topic, and so on. Some platforms have tried implementing this on their own, and it took them nearly a year. With us, they can launch a crypto index product within 1 month. So how do we help them achieve that? They just need to create a nice interface, and everything that happens in the background, the whole buying, selling, rebalancing, fee charging, and so on, is handled by us. Okay, now that you are aware why crypto platforms are racing to offer crypto index product, you should be aware of that. To sum it up, it's a great product for users because it allows them to invest in crypto faster and smarter. And it's also a great product for platforms because it allows them to generate recurring revenue and to activate all those users that would normally be passive. This brings me to the next topic. I have one big announcement to make. We have 2 business lines. One is a regulated wealth management platform, and the other one is Index as a Service, the API that helps platforms launch an index product. We have exciting news related to both of them. Valley, wealth management platform, has just become Penning Wealth. We're really happy to announce that Penning will be the new home for our users, because with Penning's MiCA-regulated setup and with our own infrastructure, we're jointly able to offer the best possible experience to wealth managers and their clients across Europe. Secondly, this allows us to focus our efforts on the second business line, which we are rebranding. Valley, Index as a Service, will be called Abund. The reason why we have called it like this is because of 2 words. One is bundle, which is another name for an index, and abundance. I could talk about indexes for the next hour or so, but we are limited in time. Thank you all for listening, and if you are interested in investing in indices, or if you have your own platform and want to offer this to your users, come and find me afterwards. Thank you.
Fantastic. Fantastic, and congratulations. That is great news indeed. Make sure to come reach out, maybe during lunch or after lunch, right? And talk with
Definitely.
Stefan all about Abant and penning wealth and everything else that you guys are doing. Congratulations, and thank you for joining Nordic Blockchain
Thank you so
Conference.
much.
Great job, great job. Now everyone, some of you are already enjoying some food, which is of course lovely. You can find it over there. We'll be back in approximately 50 minutes, maybe an hour. I will check with the main boss when we'll start again. But in case, I'll also send you a push notification on the networking app for those who are on the networking app with the precise time that we're starting here again at stage 2. We'll be speaking this afternoon about Mika. We're going to hear from our friends, data expert, and we'll also speak more about identity. We'll of course tap into the regional position of Europe in terms of innovation. The pitch competition is here around 4. That's going to be also very exciting. So thank you all and enjoy your lunch, and yeah, have fun. Thank you.